All right, what's going on? What's going on? Let's get started. What's going on, folks? All right, we're back here. We're back here. So on this episode, we're gonna keep it actually very simple. Um, as usual, we're here to pretty much demonstrate from data to deals. That's what it's about. This is episode number 17. So if you're brand new here, make sure you watch all episodes from 1 to 16. Make sure you watch everything. All right. Let me just make sure that all music is shut off here. All right. So make sure you watch everything from episode 1 to 16. But today I'm going to also demonstrate some data analysis stuff. So, but in the meanwhile, I wanted to share 7 ways for you to stand out in this marketplace. You know, the competition is growing higher and higher every day. It's just what it is. It's not just this industry. It's not the industry of real estate only. It's basically anywhere. Okay, it's always going to be increasing competition. If something is working as expected, you know that it's going to attract lots of people. Okay. So, it becomes very, very important to make sure that you are standing out because there can only be one you. But for as long as you understand this 7 additional factors, there's multiple yous too, right? So, bottom line is that this competition, people are joining the game every day. There's probably about 500 in any local market. People that are looking to learn real estate wholesaling, flipping houses every other day. So yeah, that also means there's a lot more people reaching out to your prospect. There's only so much houses in the marketplace. There's only so much houses in any given market. So how do you stand out in spite of that? And that's what we want to cover today. It's called How to Stand Out. Okay. Now, in terms of the software that I recommend is this software right here. It's called PropStream. And it's the same one that I use to collect data, EmpireBigData.com. It's the same one that I use. But you can go ahead and try it free for 7 days. You have access to over 100 million properties. And it's also, probably more importantly, an analysis software. So you can analyze the market, so you can come up with comparables, so you can see what's going on with any given property, so you can target the market that's most likely to give you the best chance of success. All right. So now with that being said, it's Monday. So let's get into this is Knowledge Monday. The 7 points that I'm about to share with you will drive your career for a long time. How to stand out. This is applicable now. It's applicable 2030. It was applicable 2010. It's applicable, it's timeless, okay? So with that being said, because I want to have some time to really dive in through some data analysis later here. The first one is list building, okay? The first one is list building, okay? So most people are going to teach you to get into business and to chase after customers, just the way it works, okay? They're going to teach you to get into business, chase after customers, beg them to sign up with you, let them know what you're selling is the best thing. But regardless of how good your product or your services is, in this case, that would be we buy houses, right? So you're bringing the speed and the convenience of getting rid of a piece of property to people, right? Regardless of how good it is, some people are not going to be ready. Timing is everything, right? So they may not be ready to sign up with you at that point in time. So if you're not building a list, if you're not obsessed with building a list so that you can remarket later to that list, you are probably going to leave a lot of money on the table, but that's probably the least of your issue. What's going to happen is that you're going to get wiped out by your competition because you're not going to be able to afford the marketing that it requires outside of list building to stay in the game, to stay on the radar of everyone. All right. So that's number one, list building. You need to obsess with list building. Now, what do I mean by that when it comes to acquisition? What do I mean by that when it comes to disposition? So, as you know, the game of flipping houses is really two games all in one, right? You have to find good deals, learn how to find and identify good deals, which I will demonstrate here in a second. But you also need to find qualified, able, and willing cash buyers. Those are two different lead generations you have to do, okay? That's like two businesses in one. So list building, if you have 200 properties, well, let me say property owners this month, right? Next month, you have to go after another 200, right? Just hypothetically speaking, right? That's basically 400 people on your list if you understand list building that you can now market to, and probably a lot cheaper. Plus, you probably have a level of relationship with some of those people, which means you have to do a lot less work to convince them that you are in the game for a long run, right? So list building allow you for number two here, which is the second way to stand out, is to make sure you are following up. All right. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Not yet. I'll show you some ideas here in a second. But if you're not following up, again, timing is everything. Some people are just not ready to sign up for your services offer or whatever you're offering right now. Timing is everything. Some people need the timing to be right. The stuff that's going on in their life is not aligning properly yet with your offer. So they will tell you, no, I'm not interested, or reach out to me. Most of them are going to say they're not interested now. You need to take that as reach out to me later, 3 months from now, 2 months from now, 4 months from now. I may just be interested, because timing is everything. So follow up is one way to stand out, because most people are going to be too lazy to follow up. They're going to be too fancy, they're going to be too pretty, too handsome to follow up with the prospects. Or maybe they're just lazy. For whatever reason, it's one of the hardest things for people to remember to do. Does that make sense? So follow up, follow up, follow up. If you can do that, if you become obsessed with following up, you will stand out in the marketplace. Most people are coming into your game. So in this case, that would be real estate wholesaling, flipping houses. Most people are coming in because they're looking to get rich quick. All right. So they're going to leave just as fast as they're coming in. That's just the honest truth, right? But if you understand that, well, this is a 1-year game for me, I'm going to be here for the long run. If you understand that, then basically you stand out. You are in the marketplace. You stand out just by default, because you have a lot more touches on the prospect than your competition. Okay. Number 3 thing is something you're not going to see anywhere else. Number 1 is list building. Number 2 is follow up. You've heard that, but usually they tell you follow up. They don't tell you how to. I just told you list building will allow you to follow up. So you want to be obsessed with the list that you're collecting. So anytime you collect data, you want to make sure you're storing them. That database is an asset for your business. Number 2 is follow up. You kind of know that already. You've heard that a few million times. If you're an entrepreneur and you're following somebody training you, or you're following, you've heard that. But list building is a prerequisite to that. There's nothing to follow up if you're not building a list. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, but especially if you're in real estate, you have to be building a list, because it's a lot of money you will miss out on when you don't follow up. Okay. Like I said, number 3, list monetization. So you're building this list. There's the list of potential sellers. There's only so much you can monetize that. But on the other side, like I was saying, it's a dual business. You also have cash buyers. You also have buyers. You also have investors, potential investors, right? Other wholesalers, right? Other people that are interested in the game, any game, right? And there are other things they may be interested in. There are other tools, other useful things, other useful resources they may be interested in. Is there a way you can partner with other people that are in other businesses, and you can make a little bit of side money by offering them to the people on your list? That's called list monetization. Some people call it affiliate marketing. Well, affiliate marketing is a tool that allows you to be able to do that. You don't have to create a product to be able to sell the product. People are all day long open to splitting profits with you when you bring them a customer, when you bring them a client, when you bring them a potential client, or you connect them with more business. They're open to doing that. Okay. The 4th way to stand out in this business is omni-channel. OMNI, omni channel, right? So when you're marketing, are you just focus on just one way of marketing? Some of you are not even marketing at all. You're driving and you think you're marketing, but let's just assume you know that you're supposed to be marketing, right? Are you focused on just one channel or you have multi-channel, right? So if you're watching me right now, there's a chance that you're not watching me live. There's a chance that you're watching me later. So that's two channels, right? So I'm doing this live session, but also you can watch it later. There's a chance that you're watching me on Instagram from the side, right? There's a chance that you're watching me on YouTube, right? There's a chance that you got a postcard from me in the mail. There's a chance that you downloaded my book for free, right? Real Estate Money Secrets and Smart Real Estate Wholesaling. There's a chance that you found me on Amazon. There's a chance that you are watching me from the podcast, right? There's all type of different channels that you could have found your way to me. If you want to stand out in this game, in this digital age game of business entrepreneurship, you have to have multiple channels going on at the same time. You have to be able to reach your potential clients in multiple different ways, because honestly, like I said earlier, competition is higher. And one thing that your competitions are not gonna do, one thing they're not good at is understanding that this is for the long run. When I say long run, I'm talking 6 months, 1 year. There's no such thing as you get into a game and you start creating results 1 month from now. If you did, you got lucky, and you're probably not gonna get lucky the next time around, right? But if you want to build a whole system that works over and over again, so I've been doing this for 15 years because it works. Even when I fell apart, I came back to what works. And I'm sharing with you what works right now. Okay, trust me, I'm human too. So I've made mistakes where maybe something else worked, right? But I always come back to this core. And those are the core things I'm sharing with you. Speaking of core things that it's working. Number 5th way to stand out is consistency. Listen, there's no way I'm ever going to teach you or share something with you and I will not talk about consistency. That's the number one secret. That's the way you stand out, because one of the hardest things for human beings to do is to be consistent. Okay? It is extremely hard to be consistent. It's easy to talk about it, okay? It's easy to say it's consistency. Oh yeah, what you need to do is be more consistent. You get that advice, I'm sure, in multiple different ways, right? Multiple different ways. You get that from everywhere. But what about actually doing it? Okay? What about actually being consistent? It's very, very important to be consistent, okay? So consistency, because you and I know that we're humans, and we're not going to be consistent just because that's just the way it is, because we get distracted. We need varieties. Okay, that's just the way we're set up. We get bored with the same process over and over again. We get bored, right? Because we know that, and we're not delusional. You need to set up systems that will allow you to be consistent, that will wake you up, almost like wake you up. You need to use the calendars on your phone. You need to use the You need to use the time clock, the alarm clock on your phone to remind you. You need to set up a task list so that you can get the things that you need to get done. You're not going to assume that, hey, I'm just going to get to it. No, you won't. Okay? If you're human like the rest of us, we'll get bored by the same process. But when you've had experience like I have, you know that there's no magic wand anywhere. There's no magical anything anywhere. The reason why people that seem like they're creating results over and over are creating is because they understand that they need systems in place to help them stay consistent. Does that make sense? Shout out to Bolanle over there. Bolanle Francis. Shout out to you, right? All right, so that's that right there. Consistency. I know you've heard it before, but more importantly, take it a step further. How do you set up systems to allow you to be consistent? All right. The sixth one is leverage. You need to be obsessed with leverage. Okay. I'm not talking about just knowing what it means. I'm talking about every time you're doing something or you're engaged in an activity in your business, you need to be obsessed with the idea of always looking for a way to do it faster, do it a lot easier, a lot simpler. You need to be obsessed with the idea of getting results a lot more faster, easier, simpler with less resources. All right, with less resources. So if it costs you £2, right, to create 200 units of product, right? You need to be obsessed with the idea of eventually reducing the cost to £1 and getting 400 units of product out of the process. How is that possible? Well, that's what we call technology. That's what we enjoy. Like right now, you're watching me, God knows when. All right? There's only one person hanging out with me right now. And you're watching me, God knows when, because of technology, because this video, this content lives on because of technology. It was just 50 years ago. You will need to be here presently to consume this. Okay? So that sometimes make things watered down, but it's so powerful that if you're an entrepreneur, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you need to be obsessed with the idea of leverage. If there's any activity you could do for a lot less resources, you need to make sure you get to it and get it set up and take, because that will be additional energy that you have left over to spend on other things, or resources that you have, additional resources that you have now to create even more. So you can't say, no, I have enough, I'm okay with this. No, there's some things, I get it, because you're obsessed with you have passion in that activity. Let's say you're a fighter, right? And you just want to be in the ring and be doing it yourself. You don't care about managing other boxers. I get that, because you're passionate. However, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you need to be obsessed with leverage. You need to be obsessed with technology, okay? You need to, I was having a conversation with my partner the other day, and I told him, I said, like Warren, I don't care how old Warren Buffett is. Warren Buffett is not paying people to do the things that machines can do. It does, like, it's not about the machine. It's about the idea of leverage. It's not paying people salaries to wind time away, right? To do something that machine can do. That kicks against the idea of entrepreneurship, which is productivity, which is creating more productivity perpetually. Does that make sense? So that's something that you will find in a lot of our systems. We are obsessed with leverage. There are sometimes you have to do it yourself. There are sometimes you have to get it done. However, as time moves on, if you can catch a machine, a technology, a piece of software that can do that same process in less amount of time, it doesn't mean you're going to sit at home and just be chilling. It just means you have leftover resources that you can use to create even more resources. Yes, that's called being resourceful, but even more results, right? So the seventh, but not the least, last but not the least, is to teach and consult. However way you're doing your business, right? This is against sales, okay? But still sales. But I'm just letting you know that the world is changing so fast. You cannot afford to think or to entertain the idea that sales is all I want to do. I'm just a closer. Listen, being a closer is an additional resources in your arsenal if you want to, sure. But I'm just letting you know. People don't appreciate unsolicited sales calls, sales, they don't, okay? So you need to find a way to flip it or make it seem like you are bringing value always. Value is the first core pillar that I shared in this book, Smart Real Estate Wholesaling, which you can find at smartrealestatewholesaling.com. Value is the first core pillar. The second pillar is automation, as you can imagine. And the third pillar is people. No people, no money. Your money comes from other people, okay? Money doesn't fall out of the skies. It comes when you create value for other people. So people is the core pillar, not properties, not real estate itself, not houses. It's the people. You can find all the properties you want. If you don't find the people in control of the property, it's useless. You're wasting time. The same thing with any business, okay? You can have access to everything, all the pieces of data in the world, but it really comes down to you need to trace your activities all the way down to people. How does this serve someone? If I don't figure that out, there's no way I'm going to get paid. All right. So with that being said, teach and consult. Why? Because from the standpoint of the people you're trying to serve, they appreciate it when they feel like you're giving value into their lives. Okay. So I suggest teaching. Like if you're about to sell something, yes, it's still selling. I'm just deceiving myself. I get it. But find a way to switch it. Find a way to flip that on this head and educate them. Find out how you can help them. Find out how you can add more value to their life. Find out how you can answer their questions. Find out how you can solve their problems. Find out how you can give them what it looks like to replace their pain with some pleasure. If you can do that, That's called teaching. That's called consulting. I call it because when you teach, you learn twice. Okay, so when you're engaged in a sales conversation of any sort, you want to be you want to just want to make sure that they feel like they're not being sold. No one likes to be sold. It's better that you lead with consulting. So with that being said, what does that look like in the software? Let's go ahead and share my screen right now, and then I'll show you some more cool stuff. Okay, so this software is, you can find it at empirebigdata.com. It gives you access to over 100 million, I don't know, something like that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open my screen for you and share my screen with you. So if you're watching me on what's up, Reward Any? What's up? Okay, looks like that's the only person that we have here. All right, so I'm sharing my screen. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, you can see my screen just in about how many minutes? About 60 seconds. Let's see here. All right, so the name of this software is Prop Streams, but to access it, just go, if you want to access the 7 days free trial, just go through empirebigdata.com. You can try it out for free. You can basically try out everything I'm showing you for free, okay? But this software gives you access to tons of, so if you go to empirebigdata.com, you'll be able to do the same things I'm about to do right now, right? Okay, yeah, so big data, over 160 million records, and you'll be able to sign up for free, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and, no, wait, yeah, I think I just wanted to make sure that you could see my screen. Okay, yeah, perfect. I didn't have my monitors on today. Let's see, so I'm gonna log in, okay? It's gonna take a minute. Awesome. So we got the page up. All right. So today I'm going to go to, let me see, what location should I go to? I'm going to go to one of these beautiful counties out here. Let's see. Okay. So let's go to, let's see, should we go to Michigan, or should we go to Georgia, or should we go to Connecticut? Let's go to a county called Marion in Indiana. Let's go to Marion County in Indiana. Okay. Now, if you're watching me from another part of the world, we're talking about United States. Okay. Marion County, Indiana. Okay. So today, you know, if you've been watching me on this episodes of From Data to Deals, you've probably seen me talk about pre-foreclosures. It's my favorite list, not because it's any better necessarily. It represents probably the highest, on an average, the highest motivated sellers, right? When it comes to motivation level, right? That means how desperate they are to fix their problems, right? But you know, the truth is that in recent time there have been random deals coming in from vacant properties, out of state owners. So we're starting to pay a little bit more attention. The reason why I gravitate more towards pre-foreclosures is because that's how I started back in 2005. So I just, you know, I'm kind of familiar with it, you know. But you could do this game with any one of those lists. So the idea here is we look for deals. We'll find and identify deals, okay? We find and identify deals, but we have to find deals. And the first stage of that is data collection, okay? Data collection of properties. Okay, property addresses, that's what we go after. Some people say you can drive around town writing down addresses. I say, no, don't do that. For less than $4 a day, you will have access to 160 million records of properties right from your laptop. And some people say, yeah, but you can get to deals faster. The deals, you know, probably you get to some deals that nobody knows about. I said, nope, we all know about all the deals. It's just a matter of who's going to market consistently until they capture a deal, okay? And time is of the essence. Remember what I said about leveraged well, leverage obsession, being obsessed with leverage. So time is, you can afford to, you can replenish money, but you can't replenish time. Okay. So you want to be like, something that's common to every successful people is that they are very much in touch with how they spend their time. And they don't say things like, oh, that's just like 20 minutes. No, they don't say things like that. Every second is worth something to them, even if that means they're sleeping or they're spending that with the family. It means something to them, and they will not waste it on activities that they know can be done in a lot less time. Okay, so you have access to all of the data. Like right now, we're in Marion County in Indiana, and we can see 4,270 properties on the market. We don't like properties on the market for the purpose of what we're about to do, because we're not agents. We're able to find deals because we deal directly with the homeowners. Okay, so you have some other options here. So to deal directly with the homeowners, the option you have here is the first box, which is pre-foreclosures. So in this county, there are 949 records on that pre-foreclosure list right now. It's public records, but the analysis I'm about to do, you cannot do it with the system they show you at the county house. Plus, you have to travel to the county house. Remember, the idea is I want to show you how to do this from home, right from your laptop with a simple internet connection, right? So pre-foreclosure is an option. Auction is not it's not, well, auction is kind of like the same thing as pre-foreclosure. It's just basically some of this pre-foreclosure have already been scheduled for an actual foreclosure. That means they will auction the property and take it away from the owner. And that's what this is. So you can still deal with this. I prefer to just spend my time here. There's also 1,119 bank-owned properties. Usually that means property that's already been foreclosed on, but taken back by the bank. So the bank is now in possession of these properties, and probably in the nearest, very soon, they'll be trying to auction these properties for sale. Or not auction, rather, they will list it with brokers for sale. So MLS and bank-owned are basically listed properties, usually with an agent or a broker, and there are certain, if you have your money all lined up and you got money to do this and you want to just use your own money to buy deals, you can go approach brokers. But if you're trying to do this with no money down, like let's say you're limited, you don't have money, capital to buy, but you just want to make money in real estate investing without investing your own money, or maybe you have bad credit, you can still make money in real estate, but you cannot approach MLS deals or bank-owned deals. You will hit too many stumbling blocks. I don't know if I should call it red tape, but everything is according to structure, so you can't bend rules, you can't cut corners, you have to do things according to the paper, according to textbook, like you were buying a piece of property. Okay. All right. So there's also this list of cash buyers. I like to see this list as more than 10,000, which means there are people open to buying the property when I do find a good deal. That's what that means to me. This one is something that I set up here personally for myself. It's a preset that, basically there are 4 properties in this location that fit my criteria right now that I can add to my list. Okay. There's also vacant properties. Vacant properties is also a money list, because a property sitting down there vacant and is basically incurring property taxes, minimum of property taxes in cost, is something that can stress out a homeowner or a property owner, right? So you can reach out and say, hey, I would like to put an offer on the property. The idea is to find deals, lock it up under a contract, and then flip that contract. It's a piece of paper or digital paper. These days we're doing a lot of digital signatures, right? And being able to flip the right that you have in that contract is called the equitable interest, right? It's a right to purchase that property within a certain term or period at a certain price, right? With some conditions, like, you could say for the most part, this kind of deals is as is, meaning there's no conditions. We just want to buy it, even if it's broken, we like to buy it as is, right? There's also high equity list. High equity list means they owe very little on the property against how much the property is actually worth. Okay, so basically where you want to play here, if you're looking to lock up property so you can sell the contract, is pre-foreclosures. It's a good place. Auctions is okay. vacant properties. Okay, high equity is okay too, but it's a large list. So the best thing you want to do with this high equity list is make sure you find ways to filter it down. So speaking of filter down, what do I mean by filtering stuff down? If you go to pre-foreclosure, I'm going to click on that, and you can see that all that properties are listed down here right now. So I don't necessarily want all of this property. So I need to filter it down to the specific criteria that fits my criteria. I already have a preset here because I've been using this, and there are only 4 that fits my criteria. There are some attributes that I can relax on. There are some attributes that are non-negotiable. All right. So for example, for what I do, I only deal with residential properties. I don't like townhouses either, or condos, or anything like that. I like just residentials up to 4 family houses. Okay. So we're going to go here into what we call the filter. Okay. Let's make sure that you can still hear me, that the screen is still popping and on. All right, we're in Marion, Indiana today. Okay, and I don't think I've been to Marion, Indiana. I don't think so. Okay, but you know, somebody says, did you switch from myEmpirePRO to PropStream? Yes, I did. That's absolutely correct. I did. For the very purpose of what I'm about to show you. It's easier to use, but that's me, you know. It doesn't have to be everyone. Let's see here. Let's see, go to, just want to make sure I'm showing the right screen here. All right. All right, so if you're watching me, if I've ever said anything so far that makes sense, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Doesn't matter if you're watching me live or later, please make sure you leave a thumbs up with the video. All right, so here, I'm just gonna, like all of this stuff here, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't really mess with this last part, so let's just call it 7 segmented attributes of a property, and there have some preferences. And I'm gonna explain to you why they are my preferences. And it may not fit your style, it may not fit your expertise, but if you're doing this brand new for the first time, you may just want to follow my lead, okay? So this was the quick list that we picked earlier, and you can pick from multiple different other ones, right? Pre-foreclosures, okay? Like for example, there's I'm looking for cash buyers right now in Edison. So if you're watching me and you're a cash buyer in Edison, New Jersey, Middlesex County, New Jersey, Union County, Somerset County, like you have something hot for you right now, so you can reach out to me. But like I said, you know, I'm going to show you how I don't have to, like what I just said, I don't have to say that. I know how to reach out to them using the same software, okay? And that's something that, again, you know, the benefit of using this, okay? So so here, my preference for, is it owner occupied or not? My preference is, I like it to not be occupied by the owner, because when it's occupied by the owner, it's not just a house, it's now a home for them, okay? So the less emotional attachment to the property, the better, because then it's just strictly the numbers, and we can basically just work with the numbers, okay? It's easier to negotiate. They know what it's worth. They know I'm an investor. They know I'm not going to pay full price for it, you know, things like that. But if it's a home, the idea that it's a home that someone lives in, that kind of like blinds out the objective part of the brain, and rightfully so, because this is their home and it's just additional headache, okay? But if it's a house that's not occupied by the owner, I prefer that. Now, when it comes to occupancy status, is it vacant, occupied, or any, right? I prefer that it's vacant, because if it's vacant, that means the property is not producing. An additional reason why they may need to get rid of the property desperately. I like the idea desperately, because then they're more motivated by time as opposed to money, okay? So basically, they will take money from me to buy time as opposed to the other way around, okay? So vacant, I like to pick vacant. I'm going to go on the property. So we're going to go to the second stage here. Non-negotiable, okay? The other thing I just said, like vacant and non-occupied, are negotiable. So if I don't have enough properties on my list, I may just relax those attributes and make them any. So I don't mind if a property is owner occupied, as long as the owner is a lead and they've reached out to me to want to sell a property, then, you know, we'll have a conversation. But if I have the option, like I do with this software, I'll turn those as no and vacant. All right, so now property classifications, non-negotiable for me, residential. Some people will say, but I don't mind commercial. Well, that's not the game we're playing here. We're talking about flipping houses, not commercial buildings. All right, so property types are like single family up to multi-family, four family. I don't like condo and townhouses because of the interest of the community owners. They don't like the idea of people coming in to buy a property cheaply because they want to maintain the value of the community. That's understandable. I don't have to deal with that. So I only pick single family and multi-family up to four family. Okay. So that's the only attribute I pick here. Where there's one last one, which is association. Exclude. I like to exclude anything that have homeowners association for the same reason. Okay, for the same reason. Awesome. So for the same reason, I like to exclude homeowners association. Okay. Second here. So that means any community type of living, like condos, apartments, co-ops, townhouses, I exclude those. Doesn't mean they can't be a deal, but this is about my marketing resources, time, money, energy. I want them to go to places where, based on my 15 years experience, I've closed most of my deals. Okay, so I rather the resources, the marketing resources, marketing budget go towards that. Okay. So go to MLS status here. I do on market. I don't like it to be on the market, okay? Because on the market means there's an agent involved, and I like agents to do their thing. And if they feel like they need me as an investor, they can reach out to me. When I reach out to agents and I'm trying to flip a house, it's not textbook transactional. So if I have to explain what that means to them, even though everything we do is legal, I'd rather not do that. So on the off market, I prefer off market deals because I'm dealing with the homeowner, and the homeowner will make a decision to sell me a property at any price that fits them. That's all legal all day long. So I put no on market, no, not on the market. Okay, that's all I really do in that area. There are also other things you can do here. You can have like certain keywords and stuff like that. You can search here, like if you're looking for like fixer uppers and you don't mind dealing with an agent, you may want to type that here and see what comes up. You can find some deals there. Just be prepared to finance the deal, because if you're looking to learn how to flip houses, no money necessary, no experience necessary, no capital necessary, follow my lead. Okay. Pre-foreclosures, under the pre-foreclosure list, there are some times that I vary this a little bit. It's a little bit negotiable, but I like to start with notice of default or lease pendings, which is essentially what that means is that properties that people have gotten notice that they're late and the bank has intentions to foreclose on them. All right. That would make a seller desperate to sell. Okay. And it relaxes the whole fence up. You can't steal my houses. No one is stealing the house. But again, if it's a home and they're emotionally attached, that clouds up their objective side of judgment, okay, their judgment ability, okay? So notice of default, let's just keep it that way. I'm gonna go to, let's see here, the next one here. So we're now on the fourth criteria, ownership info. On the ownership info, I like it that to have people that have owned the property for a while, not people that bought the property yesterday and they're not even sure if it's productive or not. I like them to have owned it for a while and then come to a conclusion that ownership of this property is not beneficial for me. And that's time tested before they come to that conclusion. So I like to see minimum of 5. Sometimes I do 7, depends on how big the list is. It's a negotiable, it's a negotiable variable here, okay? And then the next thing here, sometimes I like to do is I can choose, if the list is too big, I can choose to only deal with out-of-state owners. That option is right here. Ownership type, I like individuals because they're less sophisticated. They own the property for whatever reason, has nothing to do with the value of the property. They can't afford to hold on to the property any longer, okay? And that's what creates the motivation to sell it to us at a deep discount. The idea is to buy or lock up a property under a price that's deeply discounted, minimum 70% of what the property is worth in today's market after repair. Okay, so if the property was $100,000 in today's market, if it was fully repaired, I cannot afford to pay more than, as an investor, I cannot afford to pay more than $70,000 for the property, because that's how I create my profit up front. I create my profit and my investors' profit when we buy, not after buying and then when we want to sell. It's already too late at that point. So $70,000. Now, if the property needs $10,000 worth of work, I will need to deduct $10,000 from that. That's $60,000. So I can't afford to pay more than $60,000 for the house. If the property needs $30,000, I can't afford to pay more than $40,000 for the property. Is that making sense? Awesome. So that's that right there. So last sales date, not a big deal. Last sales price, irrelevant. So include unknown sales dates. That, again, that's negotiable. There are times that I had that. There are times that I take that out. All right. So I'm still going. I go. There's two more attributes that I need to add. There is underlying bankruptcy and divorce. Again, these are the opportunities here for you. If you want to target just people going through divorce, there are tons of real estate investing opportunity in that list as well. This is where you will pick them, okay? But here in this section right here, you get to suppress or you can target. In this case, I want to suppress any property that's packaged together with some kind of active bankruptcy going on right now. I like to suppress them, okay? It's not like you can't really do a deal with them, but it's additional headache that if I could spend my money marketing to other types of easier potential deals, I'd rather do that. Okay, so I suppress that list. All right, but if you're looking for specifically like tax liens, homeowners association liens, mechanics liens, which is like somebody owing a contractor money. If you know how to mess with things like that, utility lien, solar lien, child support lien, other liens, that you can narrow down on your list if your list is too big with those factors. So if you select this, that means only include properties that have tax liens on them, right? But if I leave them all not selected, that will bring me everything. I want everything, so I'm going to leave that as all, right? All right, so let's keep going here. What else? Divorce. If you wanted to go after divorce or anything like that, you can do a divorce filing date. You can put that here as well. All right, so valuation. This is the last but not the least factor right here. And here, sometimes I like, for the most part, I use 50% of equity in the property. I like and as a minimum that they need to have. So I don't, for the most part, I don't like when I'd rather not deal with properties that they owe too much on it, because that will push you to have to negotiate short sales. So 50%, and even in recent times, I will go as far as 75% equity. Depends on how big the list I'm looking for. But these are the options available. So I recommend a minimum of 50% estimated equity in the property. Okay. So with that being said, let's see here. How well are we doing here? If you have any questions, post them, because we'll be rounding up soon. If you have any questions, post them right now. All right, so I'm gonna go here. All right, so after I selected all of that, this is basically what I did, and I saved the search. And you can save the search and reuse over and over again in different counties, okay? But for now, I'm just gonna click close on this, and these are the 3 properties that fit my criteria, okay? So I would basically go after all of those people, okay? But just 3 properties, no, it's not worth your time. That's not worth your time. You want to make sure that if you're going to do this business, you want to have at least a budget of $100 for marketing, okay? For marketing and reaching out to these people. The idea is to find and identify deals. So $100, how far can that reach? I'm looking for, I don't have my calculator right now. $100, if it costs you 88 cents to do this outreach, it costs you 88 cents for each record to do this outreach. 58 cents for a postcard. I like sending out postcards because the postcards travel far. Sometimes people call me from postcards that was sent like 8 months ago, 7 months ago, last month, immediately now, and everything in between. These are all marketing pieces out there. It's the same reason why artists still record music, because those music are actually marketing tools, okay? So that people can fall in love with your music and eventually come to the shows, which is where they make the shows. When they tour is when they make some additional good money. And then also the popularity helps them get corporate endorsement and stuff like that. But the original, the music recording in the first place is how it's their marketing tools, okay? And the postcards represent the same thing, okay? There's also SMS, right? So in order to, SMS is something as text messages, right? Text messages, in order to do that, you need to have access to the phone number. So these properties, when I click into one of them right now, all you can see is the owners of the property. Like this is Jose Rosales in Indianapolis, right? Mailing address is that. So it looks like the mailing address is the same address as the property, right? Even though it's supposed to be non-owner occupied, it does say non-owner occupied here. It is vacant, right? It's off market. Remember when I was hiding all of these attributes, right, into the search filter, right? There's also phasing pre-foreclosure. Another way to see that is you can see a tab that says pre-foreclosure details here. If this property wasn't facing pre-foreclosure, you wouldn't see this tab. Let's see how far back this pre-foreclosure was. The notice of default was filed on the 20th of March. That's about 2 months ago, okay? And there's no dismissal. If there was a dismissal, you will see that here as well. If it was already dismissed, right? So there's a chance that, it's just a chance, it's not guaranteed, but there's a higher chance that a property that doesn't have pre-foreclosure, that they would want to sell, right? All right, so once any one of these properties call back to you, then you have a lead has been generated. If they call you or they say, yes, I'm interested in selling, that's when you call it a lead, right? You need a human being behind a piece of data to call it a lead, okay? That means a real person that has responded back to you, okay? So with that being said, comparables is where you would assess the value of the property. What is this property worth? Like right now, based on 25 days on the market, 13 properties assessed is saying the property is worth $58,000. Let me show you another criteria that a property that's worth $58,000 is probably not the ideal that I like to do. I like to see a property that's worth between $150,000 and $500,000. I don't like anything above $500,000. I like them. I don't mind marketing. It depends on the location. For example, here in New Jersey, my partner and I, we just expanded ours to $1 million. So we will do properties as worth as much as $1 million because this is New Jersey towards the upper north New Jersey, closer to New York City. So properties are that much expensive. But I like a minimum of 150 at least. Okay, so this is Indiana, which is the Midwest. So properties are probably not worth that much. But you can see here it says value $41,000 to $67,000. It's harder to make $20,000 per deal in this kind of areas, right? So what I like to do is I'll go back here. There's a good chance that I'm probably not going to work in this location. Okay, so again, this is why you need to learn how to do market analysis, because you can see all the details to determine if it's worth it for you. Okay, so for example, let's say I'm going to click into details again, right? This property is worth $58,000, maybe less. Let's actually do a little bit more detailed analysis. If I go into comparables, right, and I'm going to click both. Okay, I just do both here. Okay, in public record, sales price are estimated due to non-disclosure state laws. So there was a posting that I did the other day of what a non-disclosure. So I don't know, is Indiana a non-disclosure state? Let's find out. Let me look at that real quickly here. I think it could be. I'm gonna go. I posted this in my YouTube channel on the community tab. There's a list of all the property, all the states that are non-disclosure states. So, but it looks like it because I think that's where that red tab came from. Okay. All right. So Indiana is on that list. So basically, what that means is that the public records, like the public records, will not show the sales prices, right? So will not show accurate sales prices. So MLS is necessary for that, and but I already selected both, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to deselect all of this. Here, I go back as 1 year, okay? Here in New Jersey is 1 year. Some states may be different. You will find out when it's time. Don't worry about that. Just put 1 year, 1 mile radius. Does that mean that means properties that sold in the last 1 year within a 1 mile radius of the property? This is how you evaluate the value of the property. Okay, so I'm actually writing a full-blown article guide on comps in real estate, what it means and the different nuances and how to master that. So you should look out for that in the next week or so. That article will be out on myEmpirePRO.com. All right, so we kind of run out of time here, but let me finish this up. So here, I like to look at the highest potential that this property can command in terms of sales price. So I'm going to click this from the highest to the lowest. So I just click on the column tab to do that. Then I'll take this out. Okay. Not only that, I like to make sure that this is residential. Okay. All right. I like to make sure that this is residential. I also like to make sure that this is a single family. I don't know if this property is single family, or just make sure it's houses. Okay. So it all depends on the location. This property is what, a single family. So if it's a single family, you just limit that to single family. You're looking for comparables. That means it needs to be comparable to the subject property, which is 2103 West 11th, the first one at the top, right? So now I'm gonna go back to price. Once you set all that up like that, you want to go back to price per square footage, okay? And you want to select the top 3 is good enough, but I'm conservative when I'm evaluating property. When I'm on the buyer side of things, I am very conservative, so I pick 5 at least. I need to have enough data to back up my numbers, okay? So just by picking those, you can see that the numbers at the top here was off. It says $58,000 here, right? So I'm not sure. So you never want to use this number or the number you see on Zillow. You need to dive in a little bit deeper and see what the properties are saying. So it's a $482,000 property here, but you can see here that, let me see here, there are different subdivisions, but again, if I'm doing virtual wholesaling, I just like to keep it straightforward, just 1 mile radius. Make sure it's the same town. What is this, Indianapolis? Yep. All right, so make sure it's the same town, right? Because sometimes the house may be on a border. You want to make sure it's the same town. And it's 3222322. And square footage, all about the same. This one is quite big, but that's okay. That's why I'm using the price per square footage. So it's actually automatically adjusted for the sales price, for the size of the house, for the size of the livable area in the house. So this property is actually worth 214. Okay, it's worth 214. So it's multiple different ways of looking at this. If you want more details of this, just make sure you come back here 4 p.m. I'm doing these examples every day for I don't know how long, but you can, just by repeat seeing it over and over and over and over again, you can see better data. Now I can see why these numbers are quite different. This is public records. Remember what they say here: in public record, sales prices are estimated due to non-disclosure states. So if you look at, let's say, for example, sales price, let's see, sales price, amount sales price here is 482, 165, 122. Okay, this says estimate. EST stands for estimate. So what you could do here, okay, is all these ones that's estimate, you probably don't want to use them, okay? So we're gonna take that out, okay? Take that out, take that out, right? If you're dealing with the state that's non-disclosure, use the MLS only, okay? So I could have done this, just select MLS only, right? And that would have given me just all MLS. That's the best thing. If you notice, so when you select public record, you will see that red information that will warn you. So MLS data is what you want to use here, and it's probably more accurate. You can see more of the accurate numbers. See, as I'm going, because I understand the concept, I'm figuring it out, right? So let's go back to round this up by doing this. Price per square footage, right? From top to bottom, I'm picking the first 5 in the same town, all right? And that tells me that this property is actually worth 123 only, okay? So if this property was worth 123, how much can I afford to pay for it? Dealestimator.com is where you want to go. It's a free tool calculator. Okay. All right, and that will tell me how much I can afford to pay for this property, just upfront. Okay. Now, once I start talking to a lead, they will tell me how much work it needs, and I can determine if I need a small rehab, a medium rehab, a full rehab. And then keep in mind, if you're doing the fix and flip yourself, you need to do a lot more elaborate estimate. All right. Does that make sense? Are we making sense? Awesome. All right. So we're rounding this up in about 40 seconds. So this was 123, right? So if this property needs small rehab, about $6,000 worth of work, I cannot afford to pay more than $73,000 for it. I would start my offer at $72,000. Does that make sense? So let's round that up for the day. I'll be back here 4 p.m. I know many of you are in the spirit more, starting on Tuesday. It's Mondays, but you know, Monday is motivational Monday, so I get started on Monday. I'm excited on Monday. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up. We need at least 5 thumbs up on this video to make it worthwhile. It's worthwhile regardless, but you get the point, right? So go ahead and do that. Tomorrow I'll be back here. I don't tell you what I'm going to teach. That's why you want to make sure you at least watch the video whenever you get to it. Okay. I'm sharing a lot of details in these sessions that you will, under normal circumstances, not get anywhere else. So just keep that in mind. And thank you so much for hanging out here. Let me see here. Thank you, Bolanle. Thank you, Okij. I like to give shout out to people that actually interacted. Thank you so much. And I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time.